What would happen if you turned the traction control off on an 820 horsepower Ferrari 296?
Matt Armstrong has become one of YouTube's most recognizable figures in the automotive restoration space, building a following of over 6 million subscribers by taking on projects that most people consider impossible. His channel documents the resurrection of wrecked supercars and hypercars, vehicles so damaged that manufacturers write them off as total losses and dealerships refuse to touch them. But over the past several years, two specific projects have defined a larger conflict about ownership, repair rights, and corporate control in the modern automotive industry. These are not just stories about cars. They are stories about who ultimately controls the machines we own once they leave the showroom floor. The Bugatti Chiron project came first. In 2019, Matt acquired a severely damaged Bugatti Chiron that had been involved in a significant crash. The Chiron is one of the most exclusive hypercars on the planet, with a quad-turbocharged 8.0-liter W16 engine producing 1,479 horsepower. The price tag for a new one hovers around $3 million. When Matt announced he would attempt to rebuild this destroyed example, it immediately captured the attention of the car community. What followed was a multi-year project that would eventually spark a very public confrontation with Bugatti itself. The initial challenge was mechanical and financial. Matt needed to source parts, many of which Bugatti considered proprietary or restricted to authorized dealerships. As the build progressed and gained visibility on YouTube, with millions of viewers following along, Matt began reaching out to Bugatti directly for certain components that were difficult or impossible to source through secondary channels. This is where the situation escalated. Bugatti's position was clear and unambiguous. They would not supply parts to an independent builder working on an unofficial restoration project. The company's CEO, Mate Rimac, became directly involved in the dispute, engaging in public exchanges on social media about the project. The exchanges between Matt and Bugatti were notable because they were conducted openly, with both sides making their positions clear to the public. Bugatti argued that supplying parts to independent builders outside of official channels could compromise safety, void warranties, and dilute the exclusivity and brand control that such a high-end manufacturer depends on. Matt countered that he owned the car and had the right to repair and restore it using available parts and his considerable mechanical expertise. The dispute became emblematic of a larger tension in the automotive world, in an era of increasingly complex vehicles. Who actually owns and controls the car once you've purchased it? The Bugatti situation, while contentious, had a certain clarity to it. Bugatti said no from the start, and Matt proceeded anyway, finding workarounds and alternative solutions. The dispute was frustrating, but it was also straightforward. The manufacturer drew a line, and the builder decided whether to accept it or find another way. That clarity would make the Ferrari 296 GTB situation, which emerged a few years later, feel even more complicated and frustrating to many observers. In 2022, Matt acquired a Ferrari 296 GTB that had been involved in a catastrophic crash on a road in Cyprus. The 296 GTB is Ferrari's newest mid-engine supercar, featuring a 3.0-liter twin-turbocharged V6 paired with an electric motor to produce 830 horsepower. It represents the cutting edge of hybrid hypercar technology, with complex electronics, advanced safety systems, and a sophisticated battery management system that integrates deeply with the vehicle's operation. When the crash occurred, the impact triggered safety systems that essentially locked down the car's hybrid functions. The official Ferrari dealership in Cyprus examined it and declared it beyond practical repair, a total loss that should never be touched again. This was where Matt's project began. He acquired the wrecked 296, brought genuine Ferrari parts to Cyprus, and began the painstaking work of rebuilding it. The physical restoration was challenging but straightforward compared to what came next. Unlike the Bugatti situation, Ferrari initially cooperated. The company allowed Matt to use the dealership's facilities and tools. Parts were delivered. The car began to take shape. This cooperation created a very different dynamic from the Bugatti experience. It suggested that Ferrari was willing to work with Matt, that a path forward existed. But as the project progressed and gained public visibility, Ferrari's stance gradually shifted. The critical issue was the hybrid system lockout. The 296 GTB uses pyrotechnic fuses designed to cut high-voltage power in the event of an impact. Once triggered, these fuses are irreversibly destroyed. They cannot be reset without manufacturer intervention. This one-way failsafe means that once deployed, the car's energy system is permanently disabled at the hardware level. Unlike traditional mechanical repairs where a skilled technician can often work around problems, the 290 SIXS hybrid system depends on its battery management module to authorize power flow. Without Ferrari's proprietary software to reset the battery management system, the combustion engine simply will not start. Two integrated systems, the electric drive and the petrol engine, work in harmony, and both require authorization from the hybrid brain before ignition is even attempted. Matt quickly discovered that no aftermarket tools or independent diagnostic equipment could override this lockout. The proprietary software is accessible only within Ferrari's official network. Without Ferrari's cooperation, the hybrid system remains in permanent shutdown, making the car immobile regardless of how expertly rebuilt the mechanical components are. This introduced a new dimension to the ownership question. This was not just about parts supply. This was about digital control over whether a vehicle could even function. Ferrari's condition for helping Matt was strict. The car had to be fully rebuilt first, with every component in place, before the manufacturer would even consider performing a diagnostic or software reset. This created an impossible catch-22. How do you finish rebuilding a car that won't start because its hybrid systems are locked? How do you complete the restoration when the very tool needed to verify your work is controlled exclusively by the manufacturer? The transformation was stunning. When completed, the car was nearly indistinguishable from the official Ferrari 296 Challenge race cars competing in Ferrari's own motorsport championships. It was a technical achievement that proved the feasibility of converting a Road 296 into a track-spec machine while maintaining street legality. But as critical parts were ordered to complete the final assembly, deliveries suddenly stopped. Ferrari implemented restrictions on components linked to the car's original VIN, its vehicle identification number. Because Matt's car was a hybrid of a road car and a race car, the VIN did not qualify under Ferrari's strict factory rules for race parts supply. The situation left Matt with a car that was visually transformed but mechanically and electronically stranded. It was no longer a pure road car eligible for traditional repairs, but it also did not qualify as an official race vehicle. Ferrari offered one final condition: the car had to be brought to a certified Ferrari body shop for inspection before any further support could be provided. But this posed another nearly impossible challenge. The car was no longer built using official Ferrari repair procedures, and the company's repair documentation was not accessible to independent builders. The car's race bodywork was never intended for road registration and would almost certainly fail official certification. As of early 2026, Matt's one-of-a-kind 296 Challenge remained parked, looking sensational visually but going nowhere functionally. An unfinished masterpiece with no foreseeable ignition. The irony deepened when spy photographers captured a camouflaged prototype that appeared to be exactly what Matt had been struggling to create independently, a 296 Challenge Straddle, the official road-going version of the race car that Ferrari was secretly developing. While Matt faced locked hybrid systems, blocked parts orders, and no official support, Ferrari was quietly perfecting the same concept. Both the Bugatti and Ferrari situations highlight a critical question facing the automotive industry: who really owns a car once it has been sold? Historically, car owners could choose their mechanics, use aftermarket parts, and repair their vehicles at will. Modern supercars and hypercars challenge this fundamental assumption. As vehicles become more software-dependent and electronically complex, manufacturers gain unprecedented control over parts availability and digital access. Ferrari's exclusive power to reset the battery management system in the 296 exemplifies a corporate control model that limits owners' freedom to repair their own property. The distinction between the two experiences is significant. Bugatti's refusal was direct and unambiguous from the start. Ferrari's initial cooperation, followed by the gradual withdrawal of support, felt more like a trap to many observers. After supplying parts, allowing workshop access, and seeming to support the project, Ferrari then blocked final components mid-project, leaving Matt with a car halfway transformed and no clear path forward. The timing amplified the sense of frustration. Ferrari pulled support only after months of labor, once the build had gained massive online attention and significant financial investment had been made. Matt's experiences with both manufacturers raise urgent questions about the future of car ownership and innovation. If manufacturers can control whether their vehicles start through software lockouts, if they can restrict parts based on VIN numbers and internal policies, if they can withdraw cooperation mid-project without clear justification, then what does ownership actually mean? These are not abstract philosophical questions. They have real consequences for collectors, enthusiasts, and independent builders who want to maintain, restore, or innovate with vehicles they have legally purchased. The broader right to repair movement, which has gained significant traction in recent years, points to these exact issues. Governments in several countries are scrutinizing manufacturer practices and pushing for legislation to ensure owners in independent shops can access repair information and tools. The European Union, for example, has been working toward regulations that would grant independent repairers access to vehicle repair data. In the United States, the right to repair movement has focused on automobiles as well as consumer electronics, arguing that ownership should include the right to fix and modify your own property. Matt Armstrong's battles with Bugatti and Ferrari serve as high-profile examples of why such regulation may be necessary. They illustrate the consequences of digital lockouts, proprietary software restrictions, and manufacturer gatekeeping in an era when vehicles are increasingly controlled by computers rather than purely mechanical systems. His perseverance through these challenges has made him not just a YouTube personality, but a voice in a larger conversation about ownership, control, and innovation in the automotive world. The Bugatti Chiron project was ultimately completed, demonstrating what can be achieved through determination and creative problem-solving when a builder refuses to accept manufacturer restrictions. The Ferrari 296 remains unfinished, a beautiful but inert sculpture representing the new challenges facing those who want to work independently on modern hypercars. Both projects underscore a fundamental tension. Passion-driven craftsmanship increasingly collides with corporate control and technological complexity. As manufacturers like Ferrari continue to develop new electronic systems and hybrid powertrains, and as they exercise greater control over repair access and parts availability, the question becomes increasingly urgent. In an era where software controls whether a car starts, where digital lockouts prevent unauthorized repairs, and where manufacturer cooperation is essential for completing basic maintenance and restoration, traditional notions of vehicle ownership may be fundamentally changing. Matt Armstrong's journey reveals this evolution in real time, challenging us to reconsider what ownership actually means when manufacturers retain the keys to their customers' machines.